views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
And hello, welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Daren Jaime. Today we're going to update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up on today's show, we'll give you an update on what's been going on right here in the Bronx. Plus, Savor the Bronx has Restaurant Week, and it's right around the corner. We'll tell you some of the best eateries where Bronxites can enjoy some great food. And after that, we'll discuss the controversy surrounding the state constitutional convention and the upcoming New York City general election when we sit down with our political commentator. And then we'll hear how one Bronxite wants to use her story to encourage young adults to be the best person that they can be. And lastly, we'll hear about an incredible athlete that is preparing for the longest triathlon. So stay tuned, because all this and much more is heading your way, because right now we're officially open. And hello everyone, I'm your host Daren Jaime, and today is Wednesday, November the 1st, and of course you're watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. Now we want to encourage you to stay connected to us, and you can find out more about us on Twitter at BronxNet TV and Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. Well, certainly a lot has been going on over the past week, and we'll catch you up now with some local Bronx updates. Well, it's the day after, and Americans, and particularly New Yorkers, are trying to recover from the deadliest terror attack since 9/11. The suspect from Uzbekistan rented a truck driving down a footpath and for nearly a mile, running down bicyclists from behind, killing 8 people and injuring 13 in Lower Manhattan. The suspect was later shot in the abdomen by police and today is speaking to investigators. Law enforcement officials also said they found a note in the truck that referenced ISIS. Authorities say that the suspect has been living in the U.S. since 2010. Many leaders actually spoke on the tragic incident, including Mayor Bill de Blasio, who called it a cowardly act of terror, and President Trump, who tweeted a couple of times while sending his condolences to the victims and families in New York City. We'll keep you updated with this story a little bit later on in our political update segment and later on Open. Well, New York City is stepping up its fight against school bullying. The city announced the $8 million anti-bullying plan featuring prevention programs, making it easier for bullied students to transfer schools. The money will also be used to create community workshops on bullying prevention, provide more funding for student clubs such as gender sexuality alliances, expand mental training, and a bullying compliant portal for families. Well, according to DOE officials, the plan comes shortly after the recent stabbing at Wildlife Conservatory High School that involved bullying and resulted in the killing of 1 student. Now, so far, 20 students have requested transfers from wildlife conservation after the fatal stabbing. According to the Daily News, the DOE plans to target not only schools with high bullying rates, but also has to help the school, or I should say the NYC, to help with mental training. School's Chancellor Carmen Farina stated, quote, "We must work together to ensure that all community schools, particularly parents, are engaged partners in this ongoing work." The new City Island Bridge is officially open. City officials, including Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., State Senator Jeff Klein, and Assemblymember Michael Benedetto, and City Council member James Vaca, all gathered for the ribbon-cutting ceremony of the bridge. The replacement bridge was part of the controversy that included a lawsuit over proposed replacement bridge cable design, but was later resolved by Mayor Bill de Blasio. Now the new bridge has 3 lanes of traffic supported by 2 piers, a pedestrian walkway, a protected bicycle lane, and increased vertical clearance for recreation vessels. A new affordable housing unit has just been built in the Bronx and just launched in a lottery for 198 of its apartments. The rental for the apartments includes mixed studios, 1 to 3 bedrooms, and they're all offered in different income brackets. Now, residents from Community Board 3 will have preference on the apartments. Some have been put aside for those with disabilities. The project is almost finished and will give a lot of people something to look forward to, such as a laundry room, fitness center, a landscaped sitting area, and an on-site gardening program. Well, in other news, the Akia Network held its annual gala, honoring leaders along with influencers in the community. The network also dedicated the gala to Puerto Rico and the relief effort. Our BronxNet reporter, Alexandra Garcia, has a story.
Here is the annual Acacia Network Gala, where they'll be honoring local and national influencers who have uplifted their communities while also helping and accepting donations for Puerto Rico. As one of the largest Latino nonprofits in the United States, Acacia Network not only held its annual gala to honor several recipients of the evening, but they also dedicated the evening to Puerto Rico and their relief efforts.
From the day that the hurricane happened that morning, we at Acacia Network committed $1 million to support Puerto Rico. Since then, we've raised another $700,000, and tonight we expect to raise $300,000. All of that is going to be committed to Puerto Rico. We've already have 2 planes that have landed in Puerto Rico with our supplies, and we're now connected with a vendor in Puerto Rico, an almacén, to buy products right in Puerto Rico and deliver it to the different towns throughout Puerto Rico so the people can get what they need, not what we think they need.
The honorees range from various backgrounds, such as business and even artistic.
There are friends and partners. Raul Rusi is a personal friend, so I'm very humbled and very proud to receive the award. We have a foundation. We call it Abraza Puerto Rico, Embracing Puerto Rico. We helped sponsor Mark and J-Lo's concert the other night. We're putting a lot of money together and taking it directly to the people. We have like 30 distribution points, and we're sending food, we're sending hygiene products, we're sending water right directly to the community.
Accepting the Artistic Innovation Award was Frankie Negron, who thanked the Acacia Network and recognized those individuals who have been making a difference in their communities.
It feels great. I mean, the acacia tree, the symbol for the organization, is biblical, right? It gives shelter to places where there's not much growth and things. So symbolically, it's just an amazing organization. They really live up to their name. It's another thing to get an award from people that, quite honestly, are in a different realm altogether than what you're used to, and are out here doing a lot of selfless work for community.
Raul Rodriguez had the highest honor of the evening by accepting the Lifetime Achievement Award for his work and dedication in East Harlem.
I think it's such a very special thing when your colleagues in your community kind of just acknowledge the work you've done. You know, you always say, well, I've done my best and I could do more, but when other people recognize that what you have done has been a lot, and they share that with you back, the feeling is unbelievable.
Acacia Annual Network Gala was an evening filled with impressive honorees and a supportive audience whose primary goal was to bring awareness to Puerto Rico and to encourage others to donate. Reporting for BronxNet, I'm Alexandra Garcia.
And stay with us. We're taking a quick break. We'll be back with more with Open right after this.
I guess sometimes things just happen. Devastating things. Your whole world changes in an instant. That's what happened to me the day my mother had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
Well, if you don't know, it is that time of the year again where Bronxites get to enjoy some of the best eateries for a discounted price. And joining us now to tell us more about the 7th annual Savor the Bronx Restaurant Week, we welcome now the Executive Director of the Bronx Tourism Council, Olga Luz Dorado, and she is here with us again, and good to have you. Good to have you.
Yeah.
November is a good time.
November's a good time. November's a good time to be hungry.
It is a good time to be hungry.
That's
We got
right.
plenty of places that we can satisfy us with now. This is the 7th annual time that we're actually doing this here at Bronx Restaurant Week. So tell us about what Bronxites and people or tourists can actually expect.
Well, we have a number of restaurants. We have over 30 restaurants that are participating. And some of them are offering discounts, percentages. Some are offering free desserts or a free drink. Others are offering a prefix menu. It all depends on what they feel is going to work for them. If you go to savorthebronx.com, you'll see what the offers are. Starting November 6th through the 17th. And some of them also, they exclude the weekends because that's their peak time. And so, they won't be offering those types of discounts then. And some of them do. It all depends. You have to take a look at the website, and it will give you the full offering on there. But we've got a diverse group of restaurants that are participating, which is really great. If you have a hankering for Italian, we've got a slew of restaurants that are participating. If you want Caribbean and Latino cuisine, a slew of restaurants. The only French restaurant in the Bronx, Bistro SK and City Island, they're also participating. So whatever, you can go to a different country every night if you want, starting November 6th.
How's it changed down through the years? I mean, we're up to 7 right now. How have you seen the progression?
Well, I think the restaurants, we're getting some new restaurants, which is really great, and they're finding that they're enjoying this. It brings new people to their doors, and that's really part of the restaurant business, right? Is repeat business, but also reaching out to new people. The way I've been saying is this is a great opportunity to find your favorite restaurant, you know? And somebody asked me, what's my favorite? I said, my favorite changes from week to week because there are just so many. So I do see that it's expanded a lot in the 7 years, that more and more people, more and more restaurants are participating, and more people are excited about coming to the Bronx from outside of the Bronx just to sample and to get to know what kind of restaurants are participating.
Yeah, a lot of restaurants that are participating. You said about 30 this time?
Yeah, a little over 30, yeah.
So give me a little bit about who's coming out, because sometimes you have Bronxites, you have tourists. What are you finding to be the partakers of Bronx Restaurant Week? Are you seeing good combination?
I don't have the actual numbers to compare, but I do find that many Bronxites love Restaurant Week, because again, it's their opportunity to discover a new restaurant at a reasonable cost. And at that time, during Restaurant Week, many of the restaurants are really showcasing maybe some new dishes that they've not offered before, just to test it out. So that's a great opportunity. Many of them have changed their menus. I know that the Bronx Draft House near 161st Street has a full Not 62 menu, which is really great. It's all healthy. It's a section of the menu which is all healthy food. Porto Salvo is a brand new restaurant. It's only 4 months old, and we have a couple of other. And then we have a lot of the restaurants that have participated year after year that have come back. And again, as I said, sometimes they're even trying some new dishes that they probably did not have before, just for Restaurant Week, just so that people can sample.
So for my hungry Bronxites out there who out there watching and saying, listen, what do I do to find out about these restaurants?
Go to savorthebronx.com and take a look, and it's done by cuisine, so you can choose if you feel like you want Italian, if you feel like you want Asian, you know, just look and choose which restaurant you want to try out.
And you got to say, this is one of the premier events that we have coming here in the borough. I mean,
yeah. It's one of our signature events. Yeah. It's one of our big signature events is Savor the Bronx Restaurant Week.
And so we want you to go to the website, make sure you find out more information. If you want to find out exactly where to go and where to eat, listen, there's a bunch of restaurants out there that you can pick and choose from. At least 30 are participating. So if your finances can afford it, that's one a day. So you can go ahead and try a new one every day.
For lunch or dinner.
Right. And so you've had the experience yourself. Talk to us about the experience for yourself.
Oh my goodness. Well, as I said, I'm a foodie. I enjoy food. I enjoy cooking.
Right?
I enjoy cooking, but I also enjoy being served. So I like going to restaurants. And as I said, it really is just a matter of what that day brings. You know, if you want American, if you want Italian, of course Arthur Avenue, City Island, Morris Park. These are all our little restaurant rows, right? There's restaurants in Riverdale. If you're into steakhouse, Jake's Steakhouse has a really good offering. You know, Arthur Avenue, Amelia's is participating. Mike's Deli is participating. If you're in the mood for a sandwich, or if you're in the mood for a big fettuccine Alfredo, whatever your desire is, you can find it during Restaurant Week.
Well, make sure you go to your local restaurant and take part. One of those restaurants, 30 of them actually, you can choose from. Go to the website. Olga, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Letting us know what's going on here. Listen, it's Restaurant Week. Take advantage of it. It happens once a year, 7th time here in the borough of the Bronx. And so make sure if you have the opportunity, go on out and check out a restaurant, and I guarantee you that you will enjoy it. Thanks a lot for coming, Olga.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, listen, we're going to stay right here. And as we stay right here, we're going to tell you about the latest in politics. But first, we're going to tell you about one of the restaurants that are actually going to be participating in Savor the Bronx.
Okay, so travesias means to travel or journey. That's the literal translation. Well, I'm born and raised in the South Bronx, Hunts Point area. Over the last 6 to 7 years, I've actually been traveling all over the world, and I've brought back a lot of different recipes, spices, culinary techniques and styles from around the world. And instead of opening a traditional Mexican or Cuban or Dominican restaurant, I actually did a Latin fusion. So a lot of our plates here are Latin Asian, Latin Indian, Latin combinations. It's a real fun menu. We say that there's something for everybody. We have everything from pastas to steaks to burgers to tapas, from with different types of flavors and styles. One of our top selling appetizers, called the chimi slider, is actually a fusion between Dominican, which is a chimichurri, which is a Dominican street burger, and patacon from Venezuela, which is, they usually make a lot of sandwiches with tostones, which is mashed plantains. Everyone's been very supportive, everybody's very happy. They're very interested in what we have to offer as far as the type of cuisine, very different. We've had, most recently, Mayor Bill de Blasio. Ruben Diaz is one of his favorite spots to come to. Well, I would like to welcome everyone to Travesias and come find out what we're about. An experience here at Travesias. It's definitely not just going out to eat. It's a very small restaurant. We have about 65 seats. It's a very cozy, friendly, for a regular, like a date night or a night out with friends. I always say this is like a place you can bring your mother.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Recapping our top story, 13 people injured, including 8 dead following the latest terror attack taking place in Lower Manhattan, not too far away from the World Trade Center, the deadliest attack since 9/11, and still a lot of questions that are still left to be answered. Joining us now in studio to talk more about this is our political commentator and analyst Lee Bynes, also the owner of Retrovision Media. And Lee, good to have you.
Good to be back.
Let me talk about this first and foremost. As we talk about this attack, we of course said it's the deadliest since 9/11. But given the fact that you see a gentleman who's able to rent a truck and then be able to ride down the west side of Manhattan, first of all, let's talk about New Yorkers and the feeling that it gives to New Yorkers at a time such as this.
Well, I think we should all definitely be concerned because we've spent trillions of dollars, literally trillions of dollars since these terror incidents began. And I don't want us to go, I can take it back further than 9/11. We can go all the way back to 1993 during the Clinton administration. So we've had about 24, 25 years, 3 presidents, all of them 2 terms, and yet we're still facing this issue. With regards to security in the city, I understand that the mayor, the police commissioner, the governor are doing all that they can to assure citizens that they're safe. But the method of operation that ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and groups of that ilk are utilizing right now are very, very difficult to stop. The lone wolf activity is escalating. These attacks in terms of using vehicles, small weapons and things like that have been commonplace in Europe, France specifically, and hopefully this is a sign of things to come.
Give me a little bit about this because we're talking right now about lone wolf. Right
Yeah.
now we understand that the term quote-unquote lone wolf is being used that the suspect pretty much acted alone.
Yes.
However, yet and still we know that there's this radicalization movement that's going on here domestically. We've heard about it in Boston with the Boston Marathon. We have it now, the New York City Marathon only a few seconds away. And the concern is about those people who've been radicalized. Talk about the radicalized movement because that's exactly what police are trying to investigate right now, and authorities are trying to determine how many people are connected, if any, to this radicalized movement and what possibly could be playing out given the fact that you got the marathon literally this week.
Well, again, it all falls back to the security and how they want to approach this issue. The radicalization of these people is happening on a digital platform now, so they don't necessarily need to leave the country, go to Syria, go to Iraq, go to where North Africa, West Africa, to participate. It seems as though that ISIS, because they, for the most part, have been decimated in Raqqa and Mosul and have been kicked out of those areas, or at least they don't have the staging areas anymore, they've gone global. And because they've gone global, they're able to reach out and train people online, tell them exactly what they need to do in order to carry out these acts. This individual was from Uzbekistan, a satellite of the former Soviet Union, currently the Russian Federation. He came over here 7 years ago, been here since 2010. I believe the last known address that we've been able to discern so far was out of Florida, and he came up north and spent some time in New Jersey and decided, one can only speculate as to why, that he decided to take this action on this day. But moving forward, it's going to be unfortunate, but because we don't want to turn America into Fortress USA, where there's checkpoints on every other street, armed soldiers and officers with long guns standing around. I mean, that's not exactly what's called a free and open society anymore. But it looks as though that we may be headed in that direction for the foreseeable future until they get a handle on this.
Let me ask the question here.
Certainly.
New Yorkers were on the right end. Some were divided about yesterday. We knew that yesterday was the Halloween parade. And many New Yorkers feel as though that it was the right thing to do to go ahead. The Governor Cuomo saying, listen, we're not going to be defeated by terrorism. We're going to have the parade. It's going to be safe. let's go to parade, I'm going to the parade.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, you've got other people who say, listen, you know what? There's victims involved in this. We haven't given enough time to even mourn or respect the victims. There's this growing controversy. What side of the fence do you sit on?
Well, you know what? I don't want to. I have to say that I'm kind of like perplexed on this one, only because of the fact that there is a need to show those who want to harm this country that no matter what you do, you're not going to affect the way that we live. We want to maintain how we live every day, how we play, where we go, and the things that we do, and not feel intimidated. On the other hand, the city officials and those who are in charge of security have an obligation to make sure that various events like the Halloween parade last night and the upcoming marathon is going to be safe to attend. Now, what happened in Boston and what's been happening around the world right now, it's a gambling game. And that's one of the reasons why the nation is spending literally a fortune in security for to shore up defenses for soft targets, because that's what America is right now. It's a soft target. We go to malls, we go to movies, we go to parks and different things like that, and it's impossible to secure them all to the state where you can go out and enjoy yourself with 100% surety that you're going to be safe.
I was listening to the governor coming in, and he pretty much was saying that with the marathon being a 26-mile stretch, that there is no foolproof way to safeguard against a 26-mile stretch. And I understand, what you have to do with regards to that, because you're limited in what you can do in regards to safety. So a marathon becomes a soft target. Sporting events do become soft targets, and of course all eyes will be fixed on the marathon, but we did say there'll be increased security for this upcoming marathon given the wake of what's happened just now. Let's take sweep down to Washington, D.C. right for a second. What are we to make of the president, who's made his comments about, first of all, giving condolences to the victims and New York City, but also at the same time saying that this is the responsibility of Senator Chuck Schumer and the legislation that he put forward, that putting it on the backs of Senator Schumer. One would say that it's a little bit out of order to politicize something so soon, so raw, but yet and still the president still finds it okay to be able to do that.
Well, that's pretty much in character for 45, if you will. Anytime that he can find an opportunity to take a dig at the previous administration and how things were done before he became the president, if I'm forced to say that. I think it is a little too early to, or it probably is never a good idea to politicize events like this, because no one is at fault. Everyone is doing their level best in order to prevent these incidents from happening. The fact that it happened on his watch in his town was probably one of the reasons that he wanted to do a little criticizing, to take the look off of himself.
Well, when we talk about the legislation that was introduced, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that the legislation was introduced by Senator Schumer, and there were other people that were co-signers. It was a bipartisan bill. And in addition to it being a bipartisan bill, the final sign-off was by President George H.W. Bush. So when you talk about this isn't just, it might have been introduced by one, but it's a bipartisan bill. And so the equality needs to be stated fully, but yet and still, we still have this controversy of politicizing, and we still haven't even found out the names of all the victims. We do understand that you have 5 that are deceased from Argentina. We're still finding out more about those who are being deceased. But given the fact that we don't have all this information, the fact that we're talking political in this moment, but when you're a New Yorker, you're saying, man, we're in mourning.
Well, you know what? When this bill was written and it passed through legislation and it became policy, we were at a different point in terms of the political 100% total brouhaha that's been going on. We had in 2010 we had a moderate, reasonable president in office. Right now, that is not the case. Today, we're confronted with. I don't want to continue the narrative that he's an unstable force and maybe taking things over the top. But that's where we are right now, and that's one of the reasons why this politicalization is taking place. How can it be avoided at the point? That's yet to be determined, because Donald Trump is Donald Trump, and anybody that opposes his idea are confronted by the conservative media is saying, well, that's Trump being Trump, and but I'm not sure that that's necessarily a positive thing for America right now.
Would you agree? Someone have said the sentiment, given the fact that this has happened again, the World Trade Center, the first time in 1993, second the World Trade Center bombing
2001,
in 2001, and now this, 3 acts of terrorism that have come, that there's a sense that even amongst New Yorkers, some of us are numb, and it's almost like the new normal, if you will, that this is an expectation. Talk to us about the mentality of New Yorkers. We hear about the resiliency of New Yorkers, but honestly, when you talk about these acts of terror, there's a new mentality, certainly now, as opposed to before.
I definitely agree with that, but I would expand that argument to include the fact that possibly I think Americans, New Yorkers especially, because the most devastating terror attack happened here in this city. But I think authorities would be, because better serve the community if they educated us more as to why this is happening. We know what is happening. We know where it's happening. We know this issue is metastasizing across the world. It's in Northern Africa, Western Africa, the Philippines, Malaysia, and it seems to be expanding as opposed to shrinking as a result of all of the money, the funding, the security that's being put in place, but it's not. So I think if we had an idea of why these incidents are happening, what's motivating these people beyond just saying that, oh, well, they're being radicalized, but what's driving them to the radicalization process, what's placing these young men mostly in the position of saying that, or seemingly they have no other alternative but to conduct these types of acts to make their points known. So until we reach a point where the authorities can tell us definitively what the heck is going on and why, I think we'll always be nervous about it.
Lee Bonds, our political analyst, we thank him for joining us here on Open, and you can catch Lee every week here with us to bring us the latest in political news. Listen, stay with us. We'll be back with more show. Coming right back, right after this.
We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you? Gary, financial aid forms. Biology homework, G. Picking a college, man. You and us go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos.
Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant.
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Well, our next guest is a new author aspiring to be a New York Times bestseller. Her new book, The Binding of the Bondage, focuses on one of the darkest but yet most important moments in her life. Now she's hoping her story gives readers hope and that there's hope at the end of the tunnel. And joining us now to tell us more about her book, we welcome now author Asetta Ramsey. And Asetta, good to have you.
I'm so happy to be here.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so you've got the book and talking about the bondage and talk about binding bondage.
Yes, so this is my baby. It's titled The Bindings and the Bondage, and it's basically, it's my life story. It's my experience battling with bipolar depression. I've also struggled with homelessness, bullying, you name it. I've gone through it. And the book sets about 3 years back, and I was at a really broken place in my life, and I wanted to commit suicide. So I was going to Bronx Community College at the time, and I was going to jump in the Hudson right after I dropped my classes because, you know, I didn't want my mom to have a bill. And long story short, the school sent me to the Mark Zuckerhill Behavior Center, where not only did God speak to me, but he also brought back my love for writing. And I realized that a lot of my reasons for going through the things that I was going through and the struggling and stuff like that was because I also wasn't following my dreams. I had always knew I wanted to be a writer since 8 years old, but when I was getting ready to go to college, I had people that sat me down that it was out of love, but they were like, you live in the Bronx and we're struggling, and I had not felt the effects of being poor until I was 12. So at that time at 18, it was like, okay, what do you want to do with your life, Asetta? And I was like, I want to be a writer. And they're like, you're not. It's not that you're not good enough, but you're no Maya Angelou. So they were still telling me I wasn't good enough, and
Right.
And they were just like, where we come from, we're struggling. So what was more important was the money. And that's what I chased. I chased the money because I wanted to get out of the neighborhood that I was living in.
And let me jump in for a few
Yeah.
seconds. So you have a couple things that you fought against. Number one, you
Yeah.
talked about depression.
Yeah.
And you talked about, a bipolar disorder. Talk to us about how that affected you.
Oh, well, first off, I didn't even know that I was battling bipolar depression until I made it to the mental institution. I was having panic attacks out of nowhere. I didn't know what they meant. I didn't know what that was, and until I got to the mental institution, that's where they had diagnosed me and said that I was diagnosed with bipolar depression, based off of the description for what that means, which meant I was spending a lot of, one day I would just go off to random places in the States and, just max out my credit cards. And then those were called highs. And then I had really, really lows where I would just be so deep involved into myself, not speaking and crying a lot and things like that. And I just felt like I didn't have a voice because when you talk about battling depression, you get this sense that, that people are going to think that you're crazy and that you can't speak to anybody because people are not going to understand what you felt. And at a point, I was trying to tell people, but people would say, oh, you'll be okay, you'll get over it. But what happens when you don't, and that was what I couldn't express to people. So, through Bronx Community College, talking to the counselor there, and then through the Mark Zuckerhill Behavior Center, they showed me how to get my emotions out to where I could express myself so that people understood what I was going through.
And what do you want people to take away from your experience, your time? Because you've had some good times, but then you've also had some real challenging times.
Yeah, I had some real challenging times, but the good thing that I want people to know is that I want people to give back labels that don't belong to them. So a lot of the times, I battle with bipolar depression, but it does not define my character at the end of the day. Just because you go through something doesn't mean, or just because you're from someplace doesn't mean that you have to become of it. So it's all about changing your perspective. So if you feel that you want to be great, and that's what you feel in the inside, then you do that. Because a lot of the times, we have a lot of fears and insecurities that says, oh, I can't speak about this because people are going to perceive me this way. Or I can't do this because what if it's not popular and everybody is not understanding? You do what's in your heart. So it's about giving back labels that don't belong to you because you were not born stupid, dumb, not smart, not creative, not born to be successful. It's also about following your dreams, your goals, and and your aspirations and being the best person that God has created you to be, because we all were created here for a reason, and that's just to live our lives to the best that we can live it, and we can have that.
Since sharing your story, what's it been like for you? Obviously, what's been the response of people who've got a chance to hear a little bit about your life and your life story?
Since sharing my story, one, it has made me stronger because I'm not afraid to speak about it anymore. Before, when I first wrote the book, I cried a lot. You know, there was a lot of crying. There was a lot of, are people really going to want to hear what I have to say? And then as I began to share my testimony and share my story with people, I started to get other responses from people saying, you know what, I go through depression too. May not be the same depression that I'm going through, but any kind of form of depression, or I struggle with homelessness. I've been meeting a lot of people who are in homeless shelters that have been saying that, oh my God, I thought I was alone, and I thought that these feelings that I was feeling were only feelings that I was only going through. And I'm here to tell people that no, you're not alone, and that, people want to be the best people that they can be. They just don't know how. And I hope that through my book and sharing my story, people get encouraged and get that fire spirit to tell their own stories, because your story is just another, something more that can help somebody else that doesn't know where they're going. Whereas I'm battling depression and going for my dreams. I can speak to that person that wants to go but's not doing it. You just need a little bit more to know to teach somebody else, so everybody can teach somebody.
So before we go, let me tell people that the book is called The Binding and the Bondage. And
Yes.
Asada's going to tell you, where can you get the book if people want to get it?
Okay, if people want to get the book, I have a website, asadaramsey.com. So you can order it on the website, and I mail it for right now. I also have Instagram, Periscope, and Facebook, Asada Ramsey. But for buying purposes, the website. And, I'm around. So I love the Bronx, and I want to thank you guys for this opportunity. Thank God for this opportunity. And I just hope to inspire and to uplift people.
Well, certainly your story is inspiring all by itself. And hopefully people will get the book to find out even more about who Asada Ramsey really is and what you've overcome.
Yes,
Asada,
please
thank
find
you.
out.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming and being with us, Asada Ramsey.
Thank you so much.
Listen, taking a quick break. We're going to have more shows. Stay with us. We're coming right back right after this.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
When they test you, stand firm and move only when you hear the seatbelt click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
And welcome back. Bronx triathlete Saudi Tahada of Team Tri-Huracan is preparing for the biggest triathlon of her career, the Ironman. Let's take a look at her story.
My name is Saudi Tahada, aka the Honey Badger.
Saudi Tahada, she is our star. She just completed the New York City Triathlon, which is an Olympic distance triathlon. She was first in her age group on a very international stage.
All of the races, when I podium, I usually do a cartwheel. Sometimes it's a little crooked. And then it's followed by a samba dance. After doing triathlons for about 6 years, I am going to be doing the longest distance that I've ever thought I was going to do it. I will be doing the Ironman.
Saudi Tahada will be competing in Ironman Lake Placid,
which is a 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, followed by a full marathon, which is in total 140 miles. Please pray for me.
Preparation for an Ironman is quite grueling, as you can imagine. Tri-Huracan, we are born and raised in the Bronx, New York. It's a triathlon club that consists of mostly persons of color. Most of our athletes are right here from the Bronx.
And the great thing about it is I'm going to be representing Tri-Huracan. I'm going to be representing the Bronx.
Most of the training is done pre-dawn hours. We all have 9 to 5s. We're regular folk. We've prepared athletes to understand what it means to prepare yourself nutritionally in the days, in the weeks leading up to big training days and big events such as Ironman. Race morning happens. We're up at 3 a.m.
Today's a big day. It's do or die.
Die is not the word we're looking for. This is more like a day of reckoning, but it's really your graduation day. It's a combination.
My graduation day.
It's your victory lap and graduation day.
Victory lap.
It's the culmination of all the 8-9 months of hard work. This is just a catered victory lap.
Yeah, you're right.
It is dark and it is cold. The shivers start happening. It's here. 364 days ago, everyone here signed up for this. Can I do this? Will I be able to do this? Will something go wrong? All these thoughts consume you and they can overwhelm you.
I need everybody over here.
Coach got us in a group and he's just so amazing with just his encouragement and his support. And then we all held hands.
This morning, we come to you and ask for your grace and mercy.
And we had one of our teammates lead a prayer. I think that helped sort of ease a lot of anxiety and nerves. And it was special. It was truly special.
We held hands as a group of athletes, but as a family.
Amen.
Amen. Listen, one day, we will not be able to do this. Today is not that day. Y después que le pongan salsa.
We are all meant to be here. We all belong here.
I am super nervous, but I'm going to try to stay really focused. This is it. This is our graduation day, like Coach says.
We have 16 athletes who are doing this for the very first time. One of the biggest challenges is getting people to the start line. Getting them to the start line healthy and happy and ready. And the rest is up to them. This is their graduation day. This is their victory lap.
I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to do my samba dance because I might be too tired at the finish line. So let's get started right now.
Dale, boom. Those steps that you take, that first touch of the cold water. I am swimming in an Ironman event. And then, oh my God, I am swimming in an Ironman event. So there's an ebb and a flow of emotions where you're excited and terrified. No two bodies can occupy the same space. Well, at Mirror Lake, it defies physics because two bodies are occupying the same space. It's a beautiful, furious symphony. And it's a symphony of arms and legs and splashes and thrashes.
There's so much that goes on in swimming because it's an exercise that takes up so many muscle groups in your body. I kept thinking to myself, okay, how's my pull? How's my kick? How's my rotation? How's my sighting? How's my breathing? Can't forget to breathe, to actually breathe oxygen into your body and not just shorten that up. The swim went pretty smoothly. Once you're out of the swim, you're already thinking about what you're gonna do for the bike. The volunteers are just amazing. Coach actually came up with a song. Socks, socks, shoes, shoes, helmet, glasses, go. But just making sure you have these essential items. It's sort of like starting to feel comfortable in the uncomfortable. The sport alone is it can be a very painful experience, like going from one sport to the other. So you have to really think positive thoughts. I did amazing on that bike. I really did. I think I averaged like 21 miles per hour. And these hills are pretty rough. There's close to 7,000 feet of climbing. There are certain parts of the run where you're going through iconic areas. I'm a natural runner, but after doing a 112-mile bike ride, you don't know how your legs are gonna react to that.
The greatest claim that Troy Hurricane can make is how we've made the sport accessible to persons of color, particularly persons of color who live in the Bronx.
You have new swimmers, new cyclists. You have people that are learning this as an adult.
We all push each other.
We are going to be amazing.
I think the big thing is this notion of having people who are going to support you.
Motivation.
It's competitive, but it's fun, and it relates back to this notion of like teamwork. I help push him in the swim. I'm a swimmer. He's not, and he's amazing what he's done in the swim. And he's an incredible biker. I'm not, so he pushes me on the bike.
Well, I heard my teammates out there trying, Troy Hurricane.
And we've seen all our teammates work so hard all year, including our coach. So it was just proper and amazing to see them finish the journey into what we call Ironman.
Our teammates just fuel us with energy when they cheer, and they just do it with so much love. You can hear them from blocks away.
Saudi!
That's our honey badger. I mean, she's just amazing.
There's so many times where you want to give up when something's so physically challenging. So you have to really think positive thoughts and think back on your training and think about the people that are waiting for you at the finish line. These are things that can like really help you get through these challenging points of your race. But there are so many times where, you know, you think you can't do it, and you can, but as they say, you have to dig deep.
She is a natural. She's my mojo from the winter when we were doing our cemetery hill repeats. Watching her form motivated us because we have an elite that's part of our team.
Definitely was a special moment for me crossing into the stadium. There's just the energy of the crowd, like cheering you on. Coach Ish has really prepared us for this.
Daren Jaime,
Really glad I had the energy for that final push. I did it. I survived, and I am an Iron Man. To also see my teammates, their excitement, being able to hug them and say congratulations, and you know, it's a huge accomplishment for every one of us. It's a big deal.
Saudi Tejada is competing against the best long course triathletes in the Eastern Seaboard.
third place from Bronx, New York with 11:01. She's 34-year-old Savor the Bronx.
Saudi was third in her age group, which is a spectacular debut. She had never cycled more than 110 miles in her life. She had never run more than 20 miles in her life. So to do that on a grand stage like an Ironman is pretty spectacular. To Latinas, to persons of color everywhere, what she has meant to the sport, she's breaking barriers.
What's next? You have to wait and find out.
Well, the New York City Marathon is this Sunday, so let's cheer Saudi and other marathoners on as they run miles 20 and 21 in the Bronx at 138th and Ryder Avenue. And of course, we'll be out there in force giving our full support. Well, we've come to the end of our show today. I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimum's Channel 67. If you're on Verizon Fios, we're on 33, or watch us anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. I'm Daren Jaime. It's been a pleasure coming to your homes. Remember to keep this channel wide open. Take care, and God bless.